Hey guys, welcome back to one of our videos. I'm the Worm. This is the Proton. Today we are be doing the update for the RSST, the Smok RSST from Vape Gear. This was sent to us free of charge. It's not changing our reviews on this product. It is a true and honest review as always. Thank you very much, Keith and Kirsty. Mainly you, Kirsty.
Mainly Kirsty.
Yep.
So we're doing a follow-up to RSST. We've had it for a few days. More me tinkering it than Worms and playing with the AGI. Had it for a few days. Keith very kindly sent us through some stainless steel rope.
I'll see if I can get that focusing for you guys so you can see that. There you go.
Okay, it's basically just it's literally stainless steel rope.
I'm going to take one of these out of the packet. I know we're a little bit out of focus, guys. Just give us a second. Just so you can see the fibres on this. Get this up close. And there you go.
But basically, that's what it is. It's literally rope made of stainless steel. Keith very kindly sent us through that to have a go with to use as a wicking material. I've heard of this being done before, and we've read a bit about it, and I've seen a couple of videos on it, mainly from America. I think it's a big craze over in America. But basically, what I've done, I've read it a few times now, using mesh and also stainless steel rope. At the minute, it's stainless steel rope. I don't know if you can focus me in, Inge.
Focus you in.
Okay, stainless steel rope. What I've got there basically is 3mm stainless steel rope, and I've got the stainless steel mesh just around the top half to wrap a core around to give me a surface. But the thing's actually, it's working like an animal. It just keeps on going. No matter what you do to it, it just keeps on going. So far with the old stainless steel rope, it is very, very good. Like I say, I haven't tried using it on its own without the mesh wrapped around it to give me a decent surface. I know that Worm has, and it wasn't great. But so far, this is the best wicking material I've used, and it's nice and easy to use and set up because it's quite rigid, the stainless steel rope. It's a bit of a pain in the bum to cut, but once you've got it in there, wrap your mesh around it, get it to shape. It doesn't really move. You can be quite rough with it, so it's quite nice for me anyway, because I've got big bare hands. I can sort of move it around, and it doesn't affect it too much. Once you've got your coil set, you're pretty good to go.
If you are someone who wraps outside of like not being in the device, you can actually really wrap a good tight coil around the router to row, because that wire is not going to bend or alter in any kind of way, really.
What was I going to say? Basically, to prep the rope, all we did was just blowtorched it until it was really, really red hot to burn off any residue, and that was it. Then we oxidised a bit of mesh, wrapped it around, and that was it. I found it easier than actually setting up using just stainless steel mesh. So, good one for that, Keith. Thank you very much. Excuse me. It's a very nice wicking material. It does, and it just keeps on going and going and going and going and going. On the RSST, I haven't really had any issues with it, to be honest with you. I was basically wrapping my coil anti-clockwise as opposed to clockwise in the typical way that I do, and as I was unscrewing it, if I had it quite tight on the device, it was slightly slackening up my coil, but that's about the strength of it. That is the only real issue I've had with this thing. Very, very nice and easy to use, this RSST.
I haven't had to go wicking this one, but from how many times Proton has actually tried it, which has been a total of, the first time he did it, it was working fine. He had a slight hotspot, and then he broke the wire himself manually. It wasn't nothing to do with the device. It was him trying to alter it with a screwdriver, and a little bit of his bare hand strength went through, and it just snapped the wire straight off. But the second time, again, wrapped straight round, worked straight away. So
it's for me anyway. These rebuildables can be very tricky. Well, they can be very annoying for me, and then I go yeah and throw it across the room. But this one's actually beautifully simple. It doesn't really look too dissimilar from a lot of the other rebuildables. If you compare it side by side with my Argo, yes, the Argo's got nuts and this, that, and the other, but to look at, you wouldn't go, oh, this is going to be much easier to re-wick, but it is. It is very, very easy to wick. In terms of the flavour I'm getting off of it, it's actually really, really good. We're using some green apple mint at the minute in here, and it just delivers a nice punch of the all-round flavour. I'm not getting any taintness from the mesh or the wick. The coils are 1.9 ohm on the VAMA, about 4.6 volts at the minute, and it's been running lovely. It really has been running lovely. Been using this for, as I say, we've given it a good time to use now, and it does. I don't know what it is, but that wick is really, really good, especially in there with that juice setup and everything. It's working really, really well. I was told the idea of trying to make some dripping outies with some of this stainless steel rope as a wick. I just haven't worked out how I'm going to do it yet, to be honest with you. I've been more concentrating on sort of making sure that this does get a proper use. But once these coils are bedding in, I can definitely see the appeal to using these Genisis.
They are a longer bedding in period though. They are like a day of usage.
to get to what it's like peak is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's still banging straight off the bat. I mean, as soon as you put that thing in there, it's up into your cores and you're ready to press pre-fire it, sort of thing, just check your hotspots and that. So, banging little piece of kit. It's just
very, very, very.
Once you've got it cut, like you say, that's the only real tricky part of it.
Well, we wasn't using a proper cutting device,
No.
to be honest. So we was using a pair of pliers, with pair of needle pliers with the snip at the bottom, so it wasn't great. I mean, this is 3mm in this 3mm stainless steel rope. Keith was kind enough to send us down some 1mm, some 2mm, and some 3mm.
I've used the 2 in my AGI.
He did struggle a bit with the 2. He's going to cut it. I don't know what his problem was, to be honest with you. I went doing and shot across the room. So
that's what I was trying to prevent. Doinging off everywhere.
Lady hands.
But yeah,
it's actually quite a good wicking material, this stainless steel wick. So I'll take that as you will. It's definitely worth. I think
we would just recommend a little bit of mesh around the top, just to give you a flat surface for wrapping your core onto. And the mesh does obviously bend in slightly when you're wrapping your core around, so it will hold it a little bit better than the actual wire itself.
It's not just that we found as well that none of these holes are bang on. So none of them are bang on 3mm, none of them are bang on 2mm. So you can have a little bit of excess gap around your wick using the steel mesh. If you make it just long enough to poke through that hole, you can wrap it fairly tight, and then you can just use that to plug that hole up just to a nice fit, and it will just wick and wick and wick really, really well, really evenly, really consistently. There's no sort of wicking really well to the bottom and then getting slightly dry spots or anything else above it. It's really, really good.
Yeah, we both used the actual mesh just to kind of give it not a screw tighten, but like a push, nice sort of snug tight sort of thing. So it's still able to breathe in that, because obviously it needs to be able to breathe to actually.
I don't know if it would. I don't know if it would, with the reason with mesh, you wrap it so it's hollow if you can, and give room to breathe, so it'll wick up from the tank. With this, because your wicking is coming in between, or the rope's actually in the middle of the mesh, I don't know if
this is something we haven't tried yet, guys, so we don't take this as gospel. This is just us flapping between us like we usually do.
I imagine you could probably not choke the wick, but I imagine you could get it in there pretty tight and it still wick quite well, because that juice is
I still imagine there's going to be a point where it's too tight and it's going to not struggle, but not perform as well as that is at the moment. I mean, I can't see any reason, because obviously that wire is so rigid and not going to budge. There's still going to be air in there for it to wick, but it might not wick as well. That's the only thing I can see it being a problem. I don't think it's ever going to not wick. It just might have a slight issue.
Maybe. I don't know. We haven't tried this on silica. To be honest with you, it does even say not for silica. It says for stainless steel mesh only, but obviously stainless steel rope comes in that category if you ask me. Silica is a bit different. Personally, I don't see why you buy something like this to use with silica realistically, because the flavour benefits aren't really there if you use silica. You're not really getting any major benefit.
The only real reason I can see using silica is, if you like, for a rebuildable, is the drippers. I mean, maybe for my AGR on the top half, which I did use silica for, worked banging. But yeah, I mean, for that, you're not going to use silica on it at all, ever. No,
but it is beautifully easy to set up this thing. I've been loving it, because Will's been sat here playing with his AGI, going, and I literally go.
We did have an email from Keith, didn't we, saying like he's been trying to use the stainless steel wire rope, and Brian asked him how you get on with it. He said it's in the drawer at the
moment. Basically, it's not too well. I think Keith's had a couple of cracks, and he did what Worm did to start with, which was basically just use the rope itself and not actually use any mesh around it. If the rope had a finer twirl in it, you could probably use the grooves in the braiding to wrap your coil, which would be lovely if you could do that. But unfortunately, it's more of a spiral as it goes up, so your coil would be 1.5 miles apart, which is just not.
It's alright if you're using like a 2-wrap coil. You'd be fine for that, probably.
I don't think it would. I think one coil for the entire length of what you've got, to be honest with you. But just in general, on the RSST, I'm actually really, really pleased with this. It's when I think about Genesis style tanks after the Arga T or the T2, I do kind of go, oh my god! It's just and they are more effort. Any tank like this is going to be more effort for me anyway than a dripper will be. I've got a soft spot for drippers because they're beautifully simple. It's very hard to get wrong. As long as you know how to wrap the coil.
Drippers, don't we? We've got, well, between us we've got like 7.
10, we're approaching 10 drippers. So
we've got a couple more on the way. So
they are beautifully simple to set up, and as long as you can wrap a coil, there's pretty much very little you can do wrong with a dripper. With a Genesis style tank, there is a lot more to go wrong. But this one, for me, is working beautifully. And this, I haven't been too gentle with this either. I've been kind of lunging this about, and I could see this being able to be taken out and about. I still can't see me doing it, purely because, again, if something goes wrong with a dripper, worst case is I'll whack out a little spindle of camphor that I do carry with me, and I do carry some silica wick, and I'll re-wick it if I absolutely have to. But I have fallback devices. With this, if this was all I had, your rope, your stainless steel rope or your mesh should be fine to use again, but you've got a tank to deal with, you've got a lot of juice. If you do keep the tank together and just re-wick it, then you're going to have juice on your hands. You've got occasional tweaking if it is getting knocked about.
Not so much once it's bedded in and been working for a day. It's normally like the initial couple of hours where you just got to tweak that wire about a bit just to get rid of that initial kind of, I wouldn't say hotspot, but it is kind of a hotspot at the top near the positive that we seem to get more often than not. You always seem to get a negative one though, don't you?
Yeah, I do seem to get the hotspot and a negative, but it's just one of them things. I think it totally depends on the person wrapping it, how you wrap. Obviously, this isn't exactly the same every time. No matter how well you and how experienced you are at wrapping, every time you're going to have a little bit of tweaking, and it's probably going to be different places every time. Well, in terms of, we'll do our 5-point thing. I know that things like looks and stuff aren't going to have changed, but looks for me is still a 9. It's still very, very nice looking. Clear tank would be nice, but I don't mind this frosted one. Mine's
about an 8 because of just mainly because, yeah, it's just the clear tank, and it's not my style of build, but I do like it. It's not like a horrible build. I would use it and quite be glad that I've got it. It's just not something that I would initially like go, that is like sex on legs, I want that in my life sort of thing. It's just a nice device and it looks alright.
The AGI is better looking.
Yes.
The AGI is better looking. Usability for me, I mean, we said this was quite easy for people that were sort of novice to use. I'm going to definitely maintain that.
Definitely.
When it comes to Geni tanks, I'm nowhere near an expert. Neither of us are. We haven't played with them too much. We played more with these two than we have with any others. And for the first time, I can say I actually quite enjoy playing with this. It's not a bad tank at all. And when this has gone wrong, and working about this, it's not been stressful, because all you've literally got to do is put your core in the negative, screw it in, wrap your core, and it literally just slops into the positive. It's no screw involved with the positive. It literally just pull it tight and it's in. It's not been overly stressful at all, to be honest with you. I've just been kind of wrapping away. If something goes wrong, whip it out.
And to be honest, the only times it didn't work was user error. It wasn't like the device throwing you a curveball because you don't know what's going on. It was him breaking the core with a screwdriver.
Yeah, it's usually when I'm heating it to get hot spots and that, not thinking, and as it's hot, I push it with a screwdriver and just push straight through the can hole. So a little bit on me maybe, but yeah, it's usability for me. I'm actually going to make it a 9 because I really haven't struggled at all with this. And if you've watched a few other videos and also Wormel Birch, I am a stroppy bugger.
Oh,
I
yes.
have a very, very short temper, especially when it comes to things like this. I will not sit there usually and play with it and play with it and play with it. I'll usually go bang, bang, bang. Everything looks fine. I'll tweak it a little bit. If it don't work, I'm like, and then eventually I do end up getting the ump. With this, I haven't actually had that point where I want to throw it at Worm because he's laughing.
Not even close.
No.
Not even close. So, I mean, the one time it did break, like I say, he was quite aware that he'd done the wrong thing, and he was like, oh, my fault, go again, and next time it works straight away. So, I mean, on me, for usability, I haven't personally re-wicked this thing, but I have seen Mr. Proton do it, and he seems to struggle more with like the finer tweaking things than I do, personally, because I've got like a little bit more patience. I don't have shaky hands. Yes, it is a 9 even for like new users. For like a Genesis user, this is a 10 easy. This is like, it'll be child's play. So you'll be like blindfolded. There we go, done job. Thank you very much.
It is beautifully simple. The thing is, it doesn't look in the pictures as simple as it is. It really is very simple. The same thing we've said from before when we first reviewed this. It's going to be oxidizing your mesh or your steel wick or whatever it is. It's going to be that takes you the time. Once I'd done that, it literally took me 2 minutes, if that, to flame my candle, get it in, and it was working. It was away. Then we tried it with steel rope. There was a little bit of a learning curve, so it took us a little bit longer. But still, 10 minutes, and I had this thing working like a dream. This has been going for like what, two days now, something like that.
2 days.
And I've been using it quite. Oh, it's had about 4 tanks through it. And it's not been a problem at all. Really
I would like to say that this does wick, because of the stainless steel wire rope, it does wick a hell of a lot quicker than silica. So he's going for those tanks a little bit quicker than you normally would with silica. So take that into account when we say like he's had 4 tanks worth. If you was using silica, it's probably the equivalent of like maybe 3 tank's worth of juice it's gone through, sort of thing.
In time.
Yeah, in time, sort of thing, because it does wick a little bit quicker, and you do seem to get a little bit, but you are getting more flavour from it. So the wicking is whatever.
As I put that in the other reviews, said if it can wick it quick enough, and it will still consistently vaporise it without it flooding, then that for me is perfect. I want it to wick quick. Yeah. I want as much liquid vaporised on them coils as physically possible by this device, and it seems to do that very well with this steel rope setup. Should point out, one second before we move on to that, should point out with a steel rope, if you allow this tank to sit, or any tank with this steel rope in, sit on the side and then pick it up, it is going to take slightly longer for that tank to warm up because you've got that steel rope wick. It does get cold, especially if you allow air to it. So it can, if you do a sort of an initial puff, it can seem to be a bit weak, but the best thing I found to do is literally just push the button as you put it to your mouth.
Just warms it up. That just initial like warming prime, basically.
Yeah. Whilst we're talking about heat as well, not something I've experienced too much on this, but we did get it with your AGI yesterday. But it is definitely possible with this as well, because you've got your coil so close to this body, and these bodies aren't super thick. I mean, this is an AC9 rip-off, so it's a little bit thinner than the AC9.
Very hot.
It can get incredibly hot. To be honest, the Vamo I think it's got an 8-second cut off. This thing will wick like for the full 8 seconds with no hot spots, nothing. It just feels like longer than 8 seconds now. There you go. It will wick like that, and it will just keep on going, keep on going. I've not had any tainting issues, hotspot issues, or anything like that. Once I've got this coil set, it's just been done. But it is definitely possible. The Vamo will cut it off, but if you're using something like a mechanical and you just hold that down, then you may get a very, very warm body at the tank.
Mine more so than his.
It does seem to be, which is strange, because I'd imagine that was thicker, but it doesn't seem to be though, does it? Maybe it's something to do with the fact that this is brushed steel and that's polished. I don't know if that had any effect on it, whatever. But maintenance, for me, well, it's pretty much the same as what we said in the initial video. Nothing really has changed. If anything, it's actually easier to wash out than I thought it would be. It is a Genesis style tank. You've got a few parts. You've got the bottom part, the tank. You've then got the top, and with the top, so you've also got a tube that screws in between the bottom and the top. And then with the top, you can pull the pin out with your washer and your spring on, and there's a little white cup in there as well. That is all your parts, and you just I've literally been holding them, giving them a good old rinse, letting them dry, and put it back together. I found this thing very nice and easy to sort of take apart, put it back together. I've not lost anything as of yet. Which I have done in the past. One of my DDAs only has one screw thread thing because it went straight out of the sink. So yeah, not lost anything so far. Still using my own drip tip. Not a big fan of the Ming one, but if you like the Ming drip tips, then you're definitely going to enjoy it because it does blend really well actually.
Rating?
9.5 for maintenance. It's just
the
only thing that stops it being a 10 is the fact that there's quite a few parts.
I think I want to give this like 2 reviews on like 2 different scales sort of thing. I mean, for a Genesis style tank for maintenance, it is minimal compared to like some of the other ones out there. It really is. It's like it is going to be like a 9.5 for like compared to other Genesis. Compared to other devices like your nose and that, it's not going to be dropping much, but it's going to go down to about an 8, just because it is a few screws that you could possibly lose. But
I think if you compare this to a Nova, the fact that this is still an 8 speaks quite a lot for it, because something like the Arga is a lot lower than that.
It really is low. You've got this centre pin thing, and then you've got 3 nuts on the top of that, which we have lost several times on the carpet, and we've had to spend 10 minutes looking for these bloody things, which is a pain in the ass. I did it twice in a row.
Yeah, he did. He lost one. He was like, "Oh, I can't find it. Don't get your eagle eyes out." So I'm down on the floor like bloody Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, looking for this fucking bolt.
You pass it
to him, and he fucking had to do the whole thing again. So yeah, it can be a little bit tricky. I mean, the best thing I suggest when you're using this kind of tank is have a little table. Have a little table and a little throw or something that's easy to see.
Or maybe a tray that's got like some lips on it, so like when you do drop it, it's going to not fall out of your range, sort of thing.
That's probably a good idea actually. A little tray with some lip. So yeah, maintenance.
And you can do it with like T-tail, so just lip them over. But just use something that is going to catch it.
Try and keep all of your apparatus in the same run area, because if you lose this stuff, it can become a bugbear, big one to.
Did you get any replacements with that?
Replacement? No. This tank literally comes as is. It comes with drip tip, no mesh or anything included, no spare O-rings. It comes as it is, as you see it now, with obviously the Ming drip tip.
So just bear that in mind, guys. That obviously you've not got any spares with this one, but they're not as easy to lose on this one. They are very, very, very nice and very quite easy to find, and that they're not as small as some of our other
only
Genesis.
thing I can see being a problem would be the little white cup that the top positive goes through, but that is in there quite tight. You'd have to be running serious pressure water through that, or the spring and washer.
Yeah.
But if the washer goes, you can get that at any hardware store, which is being the washer is easily replaceable. The spring, to replace it with exactly what's in there, probably not so much, but any spring would do the job basically. So take that into account. It's not. If I lost either of those two pieces, I'd be annoyed if I wouldn't be able to use it. But it wouldn't. I wouldn't be thinking I'm gonna have to buy a new tank or whatever. I'd just nip down to B&Q and grab another washer and another spring. It's no big deal. I'll probably nick one out of a bike rack, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
There you go. So flavour and vapour. Well. That vapour's a little bit weaker because it's a bit cool.
Because we've been flapping.
Yeah. But the flavour of it is very, very good. We was using this in an A7 yesterday, the dripper, and I'd say it's equal to, not better than. And the reason I'm saying equal to, not better than, is because it's a different take on the flavour. With the A7, I mean, it's a green apple mint. So with the A7, it was kind of like a very slight menthol on the back. And you just got a hint of green apple. In this, I'm getting a lot of green apple and a little bit less menthol, but it is still incredibly good flavour. That's probably because it's silica versus mesh, and that's how the flavours come through. My preference of the two, it's hard to say. It's very hard to say because the flavour's the same, but it's a slightly different take on it. I think it depends on my mood, if I'm honest with you. But the flavour of it is. I'm going to go with a 10. I'm going to go with a 10. The flavour is very, very good. The coil setup has got to be right for it to work properly. There's no ways about it.
It is definitely a 10 once it's bedded in, but it has got a longer bedding in period. So if you are used to silica bedding in time, this is going to be a little bit more off-putting to you. I would say when you're bedding this in, do what we did and use a flavour you're not overly caring about, just to bed that coil in, and then once it's in, your flavour change does still take about half an hour to an hour, but it's not going to take you a day, sort of thing. You just want to bed that coil in with something other than your favourite juice, and then put your favourite juice in it.
Yeah,
that would be the only thing I'd say on that. But the flavour is definitely a 10 on that.
The flavour is incredibly good. Vapour, as you can see, I've just been vaping there. It's quite nice and thick. I mean, I'm not running this as high as I usually would. This is 1.9 on 4.5 volts. I tend to run 1.5s on about 4.5 to 5 volts, depending on my mood and how much it takes before the coil starts to burn.
Obviously, this is a 70-30 mix that we've got, but obviously your vapour is going to change if you're using like 50-50. But that's obviously, you're obviously aware of this by now. We've gone through this a few times, but the vapour for that is it's the same as the dripper for the same juice. So
vapour for me is a 10. In terms of performance, for me, this is a 10. There's no ways about it. It is work, but it is definitely worth it. It's definitely a 10 for me on vapour.
Yeah, it is the same review for me. Basically, it's like it is a little bit more work than your standard like drippers and your feed freeze, just replacing a coil and that. But once you do get it working, it is so satisfying. I mean, we'll go more into it on my other device because there was a little bit more work involved on that one. So that is coming probably after this one, guys. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. But yeah, it's a 10. It really is. It's I mean, overall.
My overall rating for this, 9. It's more work than a dripper. It is harder to maintain, I think, than a dripper, just because there's more parts. But it's not hard to maintain. It's just harder than a dripper. But overall, for me, a 9 for 26 quid. I think this is 25.99. It's really, really good. It's really, really good. By far, the best Jenny tank I've ever used. I haven't used many, but I have used enough to say that this one is leaps and bounds ahead in terms of usability and maintenance. And for me, that is what is important when it comes to a Genesis style tank, because same as a dripper, you get fractional differences between them all, but it's like in terms of performance, but it's how much you have to do to get that performance in my book.
Yeah, it's a lot less.
Yeah, I mean,
Genesis.
The Arga, I've played around with a little bit, and it's still a pain in the arse. I'm looking at it now, and I'm thinking, bloody thing. Just purely because once it's working, it works nearly as good as this, not quite, but the amount of effort it takes to do that, honestly, smoking would be easier. It really would. Just and not just because you can go, I mean, dying quick. Is what would be the easy part with that fucking thing. So
my overall, I don't want to give this 2 again, because this is like, it's one of those things like, it's kind of like an entry level Genesis style tank, but also for other people out there that do regularly Wick Genesis style tanks. For people that are regularly using a Genesis style tank, overall this is going to be a 10 for you. This really is for easy use, maintenance, and everything. Just how it performs compared to other ones
as well, because some of these Geni tanks are very expensive.
It's a flat 10, easy. It's not even hard to give that one. For someone coming onto Genesis style tanks, it is a 9. Out of all of them that you could pick, this is going to be the one you want to start with.
Yeah, it's your learning curve. That's in it.
Yeah, it is.
The thing is, it's a 9 because it's still very easy to use. You're still.
This is like the DDA compared to the A7 for us.
If you're coming onto this, you're going to find this hard no matter what way you look at it, because you have got to learn how to do your wick, whether you're using stainless steel rope or oxidizing mesh, which you'll still be doing if you use stainless steel rope if you use this setup, which I imagine you're going to. It's that's the bit of a pain in the bum, bit of time, and then you'll sit down, you'll wick it all, and then you'll get issues like hot spots and slack coils and stuff, and you'll go, oh, it's not even worth it. Once you know how to do that, becoming the oxidizing mesh is like a 2-second job. Getting it in there, doing your coils, another 2-second job. Once you know how to do that stuff, it's very, very easy. It's a very, very satisfying and rewarding device to have. I'm very happy with the vape quality of this. I didn't expect this to be as easy as it is at all. I thought I was going to have to struggle with this, and I've enjoyed sitting here watching Worm going.
Completely out the thing. We've got to say thank you, Kirsty, for the kisses. She did send us for the kisses. Yes, she did.
Yes, you did, Kirsty. You have actually comment on. I can't remember what video it was. One of the 2 videos. There was lots of kisses. So yeah, do want to thank Kirsty for that. We also obviously want to thank Keith for sending us down the stainless steel rope and stuff as well to have a play about with. I'm not sure what kind of way you're setting yours up, Keith.
We're gonna have to find something to do the 1 mil into to test that as well.
I want to put out the dripper. I really want to put the 1 mil in a dripper.
We're gonna try the 1 mil in a dripper.
Yeah, maybe the DDA because it uses 2 straight pieces of wick.
I was thinking more of that because it's got more space. It's got a bit longer.
But you have to bend it in that.
No, you got longer.
But you have to bend it.
Yeah.
With the DDA, you slide the body on and then twist. So it'll find its own route in there.
Hopefully.
One way or another, we will try this 1 mil wick in a dripper. Whilst we're talking about dripper, we've done our kind of ratings. We do rate this tank. It is incredibly good. I do want to bring drippers back into the equation because we are dripper users. We are a pair of drips, and we do love our drippers. I want to compare this to something like the A7. Alright, we'll take the A7 because that's been a bit of a bitch recently. Is the flavour of this better than an A7? In my opinion, honestly, no. It's a different take on the flavour, and it's definitely equal to. And if you prefer this kind of flavour, you will definitely prefer it to the A7. It's how it makes that liquid taste. But in my opinion, the flavour is no better. It's just slightly different take on it. Is it harder to use? Well, yes. To get your coil and stuff set in, yes, it is.
Initially, yes.
With my A7, there's been a centre pin issue. A little bit. It has been bouncing
8.8 ohms.
Bouncing around like a yo-yo. Honestly, the thing, you put it in 8.8 ohms, you fire it on 4 volts, and it's firing like it's a 1.1 coil. It's a pain in the bum. On the outside, it means I can wrap seriously low resistance coils, and it'll read them wrong, and I can still fire on the bammer, which is wicked. But is it easier to use? Yes, the A7 is easier to use than this. But they have other issues themselves, and it's not as consistent as it's the A7 either. I do want to point that out. Your coils in the A7 are going to last you, well, realistically at best,
2 days.
A week if you're really using the same juice and there's no issues. But for me, a couple of days on a coil in the A7 before I want to change it. This I can see going for at least a fortnight, if not a month.
I think it's going to be longer. I mean, unless that coil.
I'm talking about having to do the coil though, because it's going to get gunked up in it.
Well, yeah, but like if you can just rinse it under the tap as it is, and it doesn't knock it out of position, that potentially could be like a 3-4 month device. 1 wick.
Oh, I don't think it'll go 3 or 4 months. I reckon a month realistically, but still.
Depends how you
a month versus every 2 days. That's re-wicking once and re-wicking 15 times. Yes, this takes 10 minutes. That takes 2. But if you have to do that 15 times, it's a lot longer overall.
Yeah.
So take that into account. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. The A7 is about a tenner cheaper, but it is a lot more aggro, and you have to constantly drip. It's one of I think this does
because I'm outside because these are both his devices that he's using. I want to say that his A7 is a massive pain in the bum at the moment. And if I was going to buy the 2, knowing the degree of these 2, I would be buying one of them over the 2. I would pay the extra tenner for the less aggro that is giving him. I mean, I've got the equivalent Zeus,
and it's a bit less.
and it works.
Still a bit of aggro though.
There is a little slight setting pin issue, but it doesn't read my ohms wrong. So the slight issue is not a problem to me.
But all I want to say with this as well is that these, with the A7 on Wicket, within 20 minutes that coil is as good as it's going to be. You've kind of bedded in and you are there. This still feels to me like it's improving. You have a little go at that. It still feels to me like it's improving, getting better.
This is 2 days now.
2 days. I can imagine
it is on the same juice as well, isn't it?
It's on the same juice.
Same juice for 2 days. There you go.
So I can imagine that given a week, you're going to get that to the point where it's like bang, and it's just going to be a consistent, very, very good all-round vape. I can't say I've had any issues with dry hits or anything like that, because that wick just works lovely. The coil's vaporising that liquid fantastically. The draw for me is quite nice. It's a little tighter than the A7, but it's very, very fractional.
It's very tight for a Genesis build. I will say that. It's compared to the other AGI and the Arga, which are both Genesis styles. This is also Genesis style. This is a lot tighter. I mean, if you're talking like 1 being a loose draw, 10 being a tight draw, for like the equivalent of most Genesis styles, they're normally about
a 7 or an 8.
No,
on terms of loose, I'm talking loose.
Oh, 10 being, all right, 10 being loose then, guys. It is about 7 or 8 on most Genesis. This is about 5, maybe 4 even. It is quite tight compared to them.
Yeah, but it's a nice. It's actually quite a nice draw. It's and the thing is, you feel your mouth, feel your lungs, have whatever kind of pour you want to do, and you do get plenty of vapor there. There is a nice amount of vapor. The throat hit and stuff off of this, it's very dependent on the juice. To me, I'm finding this hits my throat slightly more than the dripper. In terms of an actual throat hit, but it's still a very subtle, nice throat hit. It's
very clean. I will say that. I mean, with this rope and mesh compared to the Wick, it feels just a cleaner vape that I'm getting off of it. I don't know how to explain that, but like it just feels. It feels like breathing, to be honest. It just feels so light and.
It's very crisp.
Yeah, it's I'm still getting the same amount of flavour from it. It just doesn't feel like it's bogging my mouth down with crap. You know, you get that slight film over your tongue after you've been vaping for like a certain amount of time, and you need to have a quick drink to like get rid of it, sort of thing. I'm not getting any of that with that, so take that as you will.
It's a very, very pure, clean vape all round. It's very good. This, I don't really know how else we can cover this. It is very good. There's not really a bad word to say about it. Would I buy one? Without doubt. I mean, had I not tried this, no, I wouldn't have bought one. But then I probably wouldn't, after the Arga, bought any Jenny tank. Unless it looked and made me think it was astronomically easy and astronomically good. Before trying this, no, I wouldn't have bought one. After trying this, yes, I would definitely purchase this.
I know how much problems you've had with your Arga. I still wanted to try a Genesis tank, and I probably would have bought one eventually. But the fact that Keith and Kirsty took their time to send us 2 down, which I'm more than thankful for, I probably will buy another Genesis tank again. I mean,
maybe I tried this. I would. This has made me think about buying another one in the future.
I think more our first one, because we only had one. Well, he was his, and we was both trying. We can get it working. Now we've kind of we did sit there because we was trying to like basically get these devices working so we could do an honest review on them. We kind of muddled through, like we didn't get angry quite as quick because it wasn't saying that we had bought, and it was just saying that we're just kind of tinkering with trying to get working and seeing it goes. But now we've kind of worked out our own issues with the Genesis style tanks, like what we was doing wrong on that. They seem to be wicking a lot easier now.
I do want to say though, that isn't something I had to do. Literally, I got this, nicked the mesh out of Worm's AGI, and I literally banged it in, and it worked.
Yeah.
So maybe a bit of luck there to start with, but tinkering with this, I haven't really had to do any.
No.
It's mainly a bit of a moving the core about, but not really.
It was a slight hotspot you had, and that was literally moved it once and it was gone.
So this has definitely made me thinking about Jenny's in a new way, because after the Arga, I was very anti-Genesis tanks. I was kind of like, I don't see the fucking point of them. They're not fucking worth it. The drippers are just as good, and they're a lot easier, and so on and so forth. But the positives are starting to shine through after using these. Again, I want to say I still prefer drippers, but this is making me think I don't know, and I think that kind of says all I can on it, because
it's giving you that confusion that you wasn't expecting.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to be liking this as much as I do. So take into account, this isn't going to be for everyone. If you've got a short temper, then it's not going to be for you. None of the Genesis style tanks are. Probably the drippers aren't.
If you're not quite so confident with your coils, probably not. go with a dripper. They're going to be a lot easier and a lot more forgiving.
This doesn't change the recommendation. We'd still, if you're coming off of Nova, we still recommend you go onto a dripper because they're easier. I still recommend you try DDA or an Octopus or an RDA, whatever they're called from what company.
But once you get the handle of them, this is probably going to be your first stop.
If you're going for a Genesis style tank, this is definitely a good place to start.
I mean, don't start with one of the more complicated ones. We've had many issues with this, and many nights where he launched it out of a window and all kinds of things, and it's more aggro than you want. But this is just
still complicated compared to your Novas and your DDAs, but a lot easier than anything else that we've tried.
Indeed.
I think that's probably a good way to end this video. Ish.
We never end there, do we, guys?
No, we don't ever end there.
We're only like half an hour.
We are?
Yeah,
35 minutes. Well, that's not too bad.
We've got 10 minutes of flapping to do. So, how are you guys doing? Let us know. Drop a little comment down there. We haven't heard from a few of you guys in a while. Let us know what's going on. Tell us what you've been buying.
Saying that, whilst we are flapping, again, big thank you to Kip and Kirsty. We do and still do really appreciate the fact that you sent these tanks.
More kisses, please, Kirsty.
More kisses. Also, if you're looking for a Pravari, vape gear have just got a load in. Don't be afraid to send me one of them, Keith.
A pink one if you do, Keith. A pink one.
I don't care if it's Pravari, I'll wrap it in pink. No, in all seriousness.
They've got the bronze one, haven't they?
They have. They've just got the bronze one with the green LEDs in. So if you are looking for that kind of device, definitely head over there. I want to say they're really competitively priced, but Pravaris doesn't matter. They're the same everywhere. So they're just the same as everywhere else. But they've got it in bronze, which is good.
I haven't seen it anywhere else.
I've seen people saying we've got a bronze one, like coming, but I haven't seen it anywhere retailing.
Who's
yet.
got it yet?
No.
So there we go. One of the first ones that we know of in the UK to get it. So if you want one now, maybe it will be down there. It's up there.
It'll be up there, and ding, something will be over there. Now, I do want to point out as well, right? The other day when we was doing a video, I can't remember what that was, but we did this ding, and I went ding to Worm for him to go like that. He left me hanging for about 10 seconds. I just basically like that for 10 seconds. He just did nothing. So
ignorance,
proper ignorance. Couldn't believe it.
Oh, don't forget, guys, you can follow us on Twitter at Worm. Big N and Proton. You can also go to our Facebook page, which is, I'll leave it to you. You're going to leave me hanging now because that's what I did to him. But I'm going to carry on talking. So it's
Worm and the symbol for and or the ampersand Proton, chasing the perfect mate. So if you want to follow us on there, you're more than welcome to. Come and follow us on Twitter because we have no followers.
We would like to say that we have got Twitter, access to our Twitter on our phone, so we will try and reply there as much as possible.
Yeah,
so
we'll just write which one of us it is beforehand, so never say well.
Yeah, we're both on the same account. So
if you have a look, I believe I updated last night something about custard donuts. Yes, that's what I was doing last night, eating donuts. But also, whilst we're doing this, we'll also give a shout out to a few of our regular subs. Obviously, Dan, Head Dog, Steve. We actually had a conversation with Head Dog on Skype the other night, lasted about an hour, quite an interesting one, so thanks for that, mate. It was quite interesting. We also had Marty, who we chatted to yesterday about some DIY mixing. Angel, I haven't got a new sweetheart. I'm getting Adam, Robbie, and also Rabbit, a new one of our subs, who is a Frenchman. He actually sent us bonjour. He actually sent us.
I expected something coming.
Vive la France.
There we
go. We actually sent us a message this morning.
It was a personal message on YouTube.
And basically what he'd done is sat through and sifted through some of our video footage, and he made us an intro, right, out of some of our footage. And I have to say, it is the bollocks. We are going to upload it. We might even put it on this video for you to see. So if we can get it in time. If we can get it in time.
If not, it will be coming, and it will be kind of rotating with our other intro, so it kind of keeps it a bit fresh. But
yeah, he actually made us an intro. So I've made this little montage intro for you. Let me know what you think, and it is good. It's very good. It's
hilarious.
And the fact it is
hilarious.
And the fact that you've taken the time to do that as well is absolutely brilliant. We
really didn't even know this was coming. It was just like a random little message this morning. There's a video, and I was like, oh, that's very good.
It was very, very good. So yeah, it's very good that he's taken the time to do that, and we really do appreciate that also.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say, Mangina?
I don't think there is, Minge.
Well, obviously you can tell we're starting to get a bit hyperactive. So the AGI video is coming up after this.
It's going to
be quite a funny one.
There we go.
Well, just purely because of the amount of shit that has happened in it. But this is it so far for this video, guys.
I think so, yeah.
Thank you very much for watching. We hope this was helpful. We do like to do follow-ups as well as an unboxing if we're going to do an unboxing, just to make sure you get a true review split into 2 parts.
Rate, comment and subscribe if you want to. We don't force you to. It would be nice more than... We prefer comments to you even subscribing. Just comment down there. We'd love a little chat with you.
We do like to
and if you do want to subscribe later on, do it later on. We're not overly pushy on that. We don't really care about that. We just like being here.
Do what we do.
That's it.
But yeah, guys, I think that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. I have been Mr. Proton. This has been The Worm. And we will catch you soon.
See you soon, guys.